I never thought I'd find out my entire marriage was a lie through a crumpled receipt at the bottom of a grocery bag. It was a Tuesday evening. Nothing special, just another ordinary day in what I believed was my ordinary, happy life. My name is Catherine, and for 15 years I thought I knew exactly who I'd married. Daniel Reynolds, successful financial advisor, devoted father, my college sweetheart. The man who held my hand through 2 miscarriages before we finally had our miracle baby, our daughter Emma. But that Tuesday, everything I believed shattered like glass. I was unpacking groceries when I noticed the receipt stuck to the bottom of the bag. Daniel had done the shopping that morning, or so he said. I almost threw it away. I mean, why would I care about a grocery receipt, right? But something made me pause. The store name caught my eye. It wasn't our usual supermarket. It was from a boutique I'd never even heard of, in a part of town we never visited. Bellissima, an Italian restaurant downtown. The receipt showed a dinner for 2. Champagne, the most expensive steaks on the menu. Chocolate lava cake. The total? $347. My hands started shaking. Daniel had told me he was working late that night. He'd texted me around 8 saying he'd grab something at the office. But this receipt was time-stamped at 9:15 p.m., and it definitely wasn't for a solo meal or a business dinner. There were 2 wine glasses listed, 2 desserts, the kind of romantic dinner you have when you're celebrating something special. I sat down at our kitchen table, staring at that piece of paper like it might suddenly make sense. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it was a client dinner he forgot to mention. Maybe, who was I kidding? That night I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Daniel, watching him breathe peacefully, and I felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. Should I confront him? Should I dig deeper? What if I was wrong? What if I accused him of something horrible and destroyed our family over a misunderstanding? But deep down, in that place where we store truths we're too afraid to acknowledge, I already knew. The next morning, after Daniel left for work and Emma for school, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked our bank accounts, all of them. We'd always kept our finances relatively separate. He managed the investments and savings. I handled the household expenses and Emma's needs. It was the system that worked, or so I thought. What I found made my blood run cold. Our joint savings account, the one we'd been building for 12 years, had $63,000 in it last month. Now it had $42,000. $21,000 gone. Just gone. And when I dug deeper into the transaction history, I found it wasn't the first withdrawal. Over the past 6 months, money had been disappearing. $5,000 here, $3,000 there, $8,000, $2,000. My heart was racing so fast, I thought I might pass out. But it was the next discovery that truly destroyed me. I logged into the account we'd set up for Emma when she was born. Her college fund. The sacred, untouchable account that we'd both agreed would never, ever be touched, except for her education. We'd been so proud of it. Both sets of grandparents contributed. Daniel's bonuses went straight into it. Birthday money, graduation gifts from relatives. Everything went into securing Emma's future. The account that should have had $98,000 in it? It had $12,086,000. Gone. I actually screamed. I couldn't help it. The sound that came out of me was something primal, something broken. I'd been married to this man for 15 years. 15 years! We'd built a life together. A daughter, a home, dreams, and he'd stolen from our child, our 12-year-old daughter's future. For what? I was shaking so violently I could barely click through the transaction history. The withdrawals had started 8 months ago. Small at first, $1,000 here, $2,000 there. Then they got bigger. $5,000, $10,000. The last withdrawal was just 3 weeks ago. $15,000. Gone. I needed answers. I needed proof. Because part of me, the part that still loved the man I thought I married, that part needed to see the evidence before I could accept that my entire life was a lie. So I did something else I never thought I'd do. I installed a tracking app on Daniel's phone. I waited until he was in the shower that evening, grabbed his phone. I knew his passcode. We'd never kept secrets, or so I thought, and installed the app. It took less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes to become the kind of person who spies on their spouse. But I had to know. For 3 days, I watched his movements on that app. Work, home, the gym, or so he said. Except the gym location didn't match. He was going to an apartment complex on the other side of town, Willow Creek Residences, a place I'd never heard him mention. He went there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evening, for 2 hours each time, while telling me he was at the gym. My hands were shaking as I drove to that address on Friday evening. I told Emma I had to run some errands. I sat in my car across the street from Building C, Unit 12, and I waited. 30 minutes later, Daniel's car pulled up. And then I watched my husband, the father of my child, the man who'd promised to love and cherish me, walk up to that apartment with a bouquet of roses and a shopping bag from an expensive lingerie store. 15 minutes after that, I watched a woman answer the door. She was young, maybe 25, blonde, beautiful. She was wearing a silk robe, and the way she smiled at him, the way he touched her face before kissing her, I threw up right there in my car, but I didn't confront him, not yet. Because as I sat there wiping my mouth, trying to breathe through the pain that was literally crushing my chest, I realized something. If I confronted him now, he'd deny it. He'd make excuses. He'd manipulate the situation. He'd probably even convince me I was crazy, seeing things that weren't there. Gaslighting, isn't that what they call it? No, I needed more. I needed evidence so solid he couldn't worm his way out of it, so I went home. I smiled when he walked in the door 3 hours later. I asked him how the gym was. He said it was great, really got a good workout in. He kissed my forehead. He asked what was for dinner, and I smiled and told him I'd made his favorite. That night, after he fell asleep, I went through his laptop, his email, his phone records, and what I found was worse than I'd imagined. Her name was Natasha. She was 24 years old, a model and aspiring actress, according to her Instagram, which was public and filled with photos of her at expensive restaurants, wearing designer clothes, posing with luxury handbags, all paid for by my husband. The emails went back 10 months. 10 months of baby, I can't wait to see you, and you're the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm working on the situation at home, I promise. The situation at home. That's what I was, a situation, but it was the text message thread that made me want to burn everything down. 3 weeks ago, the same time as that $15,000 withdrawal, Natasha had texted him, "OMG, baby. I can't believe you got me the Porsche. You're amazing. I love you so much." He'd bought her a car, with our daughter's college money, a $45,000 Porsche, for his mistress. I sat there in our home office reading these messages in the dark, and I felt something shift inside me. The pain was still there. God, it was crushing. But something else was rising up through it. Something cold. Something calculating. Anger, not the hot, explosive kind. The cold, patient kind. The dangerous kind. Because I realized Daniel hadn't just betrayed me. He'd stolen from Emma. He'd taken her future, her dreams, her security. And he'd given it to some 24-year-old who called him daddy in her texts, and I was going to make him pay. But I couldn't do this alone. I needed help. I needed someone I could trust absolutely. Someone who would understand. Someone who would have my back. So the next morning, after Daniel left for work, I sat Emma down for breakfast. My 12-year-old daughter was eating cereal when I decided to tell her that her father was a thief and a liar. How do you do that? How do you destroy your child's image of their parent? But then I thought, wouldn't it be worse to let her grow up thinking her father was a good man when he wasn't? Wouldn't that teach her the wrong lessons about what to accept from people who claim to love you? Emma looked up at me with those bright eyes, her father's eyes, unfortunately, and smiled. "Mom, you're staring. Is something wrong?" Everything was wrong, but I couldn't just blurt it out. "Sweetheart, I need to talk to you about something important. Something grown up." She put down her spoon, immediately serious. Emma had always been mature for her age. Too mature sometimes. She was the kid who organized her own homework schedule, who color-coded her closet, who made budgets for her allowance. She got that from me, I suppose. "The planning gene. Is someone sick?" she asked, her face going pale. "No, honey, but it's about Dad." I watched her expression change. Fear, confusion, worry, all of it flickering across her face in seconds. "Is Dad sick?" No, but Emma, I need you to be really brave right now. Can you do that for me? She nodded slowly. I took a deep breath. Your father has been lying to us. He's been seeing another woman, and he's been taking money from our accounts, including your college fund, to pay for things for her. I watched my daughter's face carefully. I expected tears. I expected denial. I expected her to tell me I was wrong, that Dad would never do that. Instead, Emma's jaw tightened. Her hands curled into fists on the table, and she said, in a voice colder than any 12-year-old should possess, "How much?" I blinked. What? How much did he take from my college fund? Emma, that's not the important... How much? I swallowed hard. $86,000. Emma stood up so fast her chair fell backward. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She walked to the kitchen window and stared out at our backyard for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaking, but not with sadness. With rage. That money was from Grandma Joan before she died, and Grandpa Michael, and everyone who ever loved me enough to invest in my future. And he just took it? For some random woman? Yes? Does he know that you know? No. Emma turned to face me, and in that moment, I saw someone I'd never seen before. Not my little girl. Not the child who still slept with a stuffed elephant and watched cartoons on Saturday mornings. Someone else. Someone harder. Good, she said. Don't tell him. Not yet. Emma, Mom, listen to me. If you confront Dad now, he'll just lie. He'll hide the money somehow. He'll make it disappear, and we'll never get it back. But if we're smart about this, she trailed off, thinking. Sweetheart, this isn't your problem to solve. It's my college fund. It's absolutely my problem. She sat back down, her mind clearly racing. We need proof, evidence, and we need to make sure he can't hide anything or run away before we expose him. I stared at my 12-year-old daughter. How do you know about this stuff? She gave me a look. Mom, I watch a lot of true crime documentaries, and crime dramas, and lawyer shows. Plus, I'm in the gifted program. We just finished a unit on critical thinking and problem solving. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, I said slowly. What did you have in mind? Emma pulled out her phone. Yes, my 12-year-old had a smartphone, don't judge me, and opened her notes app. First, we need to document everything. Every withdrawal, every date, every amount. We need bank statements, credit card statements, everything. Can you get those? I already have them. Good. Second, we need proof of the affair. Photos, messages, anything that shows where the money went. Do you have that? I have his emails and texts. Perfect. Make copies, multiple copies, cloud storage, external drives, email them to yourself. We can't risk losing that evidence. She was typing notes as she spoke. Third, we need to protect what's left. Can you move money without him noticing? I don't know. Maybe. We'll figure it out. Fourth, and this is important, we need to make sure he doesn't suspect anything. You have to act completely normal around him. Can you do that? Could I? Could I smile at the man who'd betrayed me and stolen from our daughter? Could I kiss him goodnight and pretend everything was fine while planning his downfall? Yes, I said. I can do that, Emma nodded. Okay, now I have some ideas about how we can get more evidence. We need to catch him in the act. We need something undeniable. Photos, videos, witnesses. Something that even the best lawyer couldn't explain away. Emma, where are you getting all this? She shrugged. TV mostly, but also common sense. Dad's always telling his clients to protect their assets and document everything for legal purposes. So why shouldn't we? My daughter. My brilliant, terrifying daughter. There's one more thing, Emma said quietly. This Natasha person. We need to find out everything about her. Where she works, where she lives, who her friends are. Because I guarantee you, Dad isn't the only person she's scamming. Scamming? Mom, think about it. A 24-year-old model dates a 43-year-old married man and gets him to buy her a Porsche? She's a professional. This is what she does. Which means Dad probably isn't her first victim. And if we can prove that she's done this before, it'll help our case. I just stared at her. Who are you, and what have you done with my daughter? For the first time that morning, Emma smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone planning a war. I'm your daughter, which means I'm half you. Smart, organized, detail-oriented. But I'm also half him. And if Dad taught me anything, it's how to manage assets and plan for the future. She paused. He just never thought I'd use those skills against him. Over the next week, Emma and I became partners in crime. Well, partners in justice. Every evening after Daniel went to bed, we'd meet in my home office and go over our findings. Emma created a spreadsheet, an actual color-coded spreadsheet, tracking every withdrawal, every purchase, every lie. She cross-referenced dates from his calendar with his location data from the tracking app. She found restaurant receipts, hotel charges, jewelry purchases. She even found the payment records for Natasha's apartment rent. Daniel had been paying for it. 7 months of rent, $2,500 a month. He's spending almost $6,000 a month on her, Emma calculated one night. That's $72,000 a year. Meanwhile, he told you we needed to cancel our family vacation because money was tight, I remembered. Last summer, we were supposed to go to Hawaii. Daniel had said business was slow. We needed to be careful with money. So we'd stayed home while he was apparently dropping thousands on his mistress. But Emma's detective work didn't stop there. She found Natasha's social media accounts, all of them. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. And she started digging through Natasha's followers and tagged photos. "Mom, look at this," Emma said one night, turning her laptop toward me. It was a photo from 2 years ago. Natasha with an older man, both of them laughing at some fancy restaurant. The caption read, "Best dinner ever. Thanks for everything, Richard." Emma had already clicked on Richard's profile. Richard Morrison. He's 52, married, 3 kids. He's a real estate developer. She pulled up another photo from a year later. And here's Natasha at his beach house. And here's a comment from his wife saying, "Who is this woman with my husband?" She pulled up another profile. Another older man, another set of photos showing lavish gifts and expensive dinners. "She's done this before," Emma said flatly. "Multiple times. She targets wealthy married men, gets them to buy her expensive things, and then moves on to the next one. Dad is just her latest mark." I felt sick. Daniel wasn't just a cheater and a thief. He was a fool, a cliché. A middle-aged man having a crisis and falling for the oldest con in the book. "We need to contact these other men's wives," Emma said. "What? Why?" "Because if we're going to take down Dad and Natasha, we need allies. We need people who'll testify to her pattern of behavior. We need to show that this wasn't some grand love affair. It was a con. And Dad fell for it like an idiot. My 12-year-old just called her father an idiot. And she wasn't wrong. We found 3 other wives. All of them had similar stories. All of them had lost money. One had even filed a police report. But nothing came of it because her husband had technically given the money willingly. But they were all very interested in helping us expose Natasha. The genius thing about Emma's plan wasn't just that it would expose Daniel and Natasha. It was that it would force Daniel to face consequences he couldn't escape. See, Daniel was a financial advisor. His entire career was built on trust. His clients trusted him with their life savings, their retirement funds, their children's education money. If it came out that he'd stolen from his own daughter's college fund, if his clients found out he couldn't even manage his own family's finances, honestly, his career would be over, and Emma knew that. "We're not just getting revenge," she explained one evening. "We're making sure he can't do this to anyone else. Not to us, not to his clients, not to the next woman he decides to have an affair with." She'd thought of everything. We would document everything, build an ironclad case, and then we'd strike when he least expected it. But first, we needed to secure what was left of our money. This was trickier than it sounded. Daniel monitored the accounts regularly. If I suddenly transferred large sums, he'd notice immediately. So Emma came up with a different approach. "We're going to make him think everything is fine," she said. "Better than fine. We're going to make him think he's getting away with it." "How?" "By giving him a reason to stop stealing for a while. If he thinks he's safe, he'll get comfortable. And comfortable people make mistakes. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I lied to my husband. I told him I'd received an unexpected inheritance from a distant aunt I hadn't seen in years. $25,000. Daniel's eyes lit up. "That's amazing, honey. We should invest that." "Actually," I interrupted, "I was thinking we should put it straight into Emma's college fund. You know, to make sure we're on track for her future." I watched his face carefully. For just a second, I saw panic flicker across his features. Then he smiled. That charming, loving smile I'd fallen in love with so many years ago. The smile I now recognized as a mask. "Of course," he said. "That's a great idea. Emma's future comes first. Liar. That night, I deposited the money that didn't actually exist, money I'd actually pulled from my own separate savings account, into Emma's college fund. And then Emma and I watched to see what Daniel would do. 3 days later, he withdrew $15,000. Got him, Emma whispered, watching the transaction appear on her screen. She'd set up alerts for any activity on the account. He can't help himself. He thinks he's found a new source of cash and he's taking advantage of it. But here's the brilliant part. That $15,000? We could track exactly where it went, because I'd noted the serial numbers of every bill before depositing them. Yes, I went to the bank and asked for specific denominations, and yes, I wrote down every single serial number. It took hours, but it meant we could prove exactly where that money ended up. And sure enough, 2 days later, Natasha posted a photo on Instagram of herself wearing a diamond bracelet. The caption? Best boyfriend ever. Blessed, spoiled, lucky girl. Emma screenshotted it immediately. Date, time, caption, evidence, but we weren't done. Emma had another idea, and this one was risky. We need to record him, she said. We need video or audio of him admitting what he's doing. Because bank records can be explained away. He could say the money was for investments or emergencies or anything. But if we have him on tape admitting he's giving money to his mistress, that's game over. How are we supposed to get that? Emma held up a small device that looked like a USB drive. Voice-activated recorder. I ordered it online with birthday money. We put it in his car, in his office, wherever he's likely to talk to her on the phone. It records everything and uploads it to the cloud. That might be illegal, Emma. It's our car, our house. We're not recording someone else's private property. I checked. She had that look again. That cold, calculating look. Besides, he stole from me, from us. I think we're past worrying about legal technicalities. She wasn't wrong. We placed 3 recorders. One in Daniel's car, hidden under the driver's seat. One in his home office, tucked behind some books on the shelf. And one in the bedroom, my bedroom, our bedroom, because apparently Daniel had been calling Natasha from our bed while I was at work. That hurt worse than almost anything else. The disrespect, the absolute disregard for our life together. The recorders worked perfectly. Within a week, we had hours of audio. And oh, the things we learned. Daniel didn't just steal money for Natasha. He'd been stealing from his clients, too. Not directly. He was too smart for that. But he'd been putting them into high-risk investments without their knowledge. Investments that paid him higher commissions. He was gambling with other people's retirement savings to boost his own income, which he was then spending on his mistress. Emma and I listened to one conversation where Daniel bragged to Natasha about a recent client meeting. The guy has no idea what I put his money into, Daniel laughed. He trusts me completely. They all do. We have to report this, I whispered. Not yet, Emma said. If we report it now, he'll have time to cover his tracks. We report everything at once. One big explosion. That way he can't run, he can't hide, and he can't fix it. My daughter was 12 years old and thinking like a prosecutor. But the most damning recording came 2 weeks into our operation. Daniel called Natasha from his car on his way home from work. Baby, I can't wait to see you Friday, he said. I could hear the smile in his voice. The same voice he used to tell me he loved me. I can't wait either, Daddy, Natasha purred. Are you going to bring me something special? Always do. In fact, I'm thinking about leaving Catherine soon. Maybe in a few months. I'll have enough money moved around by then that she won't be able to touch it. My hands clenched into fists. Really? Natasha sounded excited. You mean it? Yeah, Emma will be 13 soon. Old enough to choose which parent she wants to live with. And honestly, Catherine's been so checked out lately. I don't think she even cares what I do anymore. Checked out. I was checked out because I was mourning my marriage while he was planning to steal everything and leave. What about the money? Natasha asked. I've got it handled. Most of it's already in offshore accounts she doesn't know about. By the time she realizes what's happening, I'll be long gone. We can start fresh. Maybe get a place in Miami like you wanted. Emma paused the recording. We sat in silence for a long moment. He's planning to take everything, she finally said. Not just the money he already stole, everything. I know, and he thinks you're too stupid to notice. I know. Mom. Emma turned to me, her eyes blazing. We need to move fast. If he's already hiding money in offshore accounts, we might not be able to recover it all. She was right. We'd been planning to wait another few weeks to gather more evidence, but we couldn't risk giving Daniel time to finish his exit strategy. What do you suggest? I asked. Emma pulled up her master spreadsheet. She'd titled it Operation Dad's Downfall, which would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. We have enough evidence to destroy him. Bank records, emails, text messages, recordings, witness statements from the other wives. We have proof of theft, proof of the affair, proof of financial misconduct with clients. What we need now is to make sure he faces consequences for all of it at the same time. Meaning? Meaning we need to report him to his employer, to the Financial Regulatory Board, and we need to file for divorce and demand a full financial audit, all on the same day. Same hour if possible. That way he can't prioritize which fire to put out first. He'll be overwhelmed and he'll make mistakes. I stared at my daughter. You're terrifying, you know that? She smiled grimly. I learned from the best. You taught me to be organized and thorough. Dad taught me how the financial system works. I'm just combining your lessons. Fair point. There's one more thing we need to do, Emma said. We need to confront Natasha. What? Why? Because she needs to know that we know. And because I want to see her face when she realizes the gravy train is over. Emma's voice was cold. Plus, if we can get her to admit things on camera, that's even more evidence. You want to secretly record her too? No, I want to openly record her. I want to walk up to her door with a camera rolling and ask her about the money. She'll either lie, which we can prove because we have the bank records, or she'll tell the truth, which makes her complicit. Emma, it's called a citizen journalist interview. Mom, perfectly legal as long as we're on public property or she gives consent. And something tells me Natasha won't be able to resist defending herself on camera. People like her always think they can talk their way out of anything. I couldn't believe we were having this conversation. I couldn't believe my 12-year-old was out-strategizing me at every turn. But she was right. About all of it. Okay, I said. Let's do it, Emma grinned. Actually grinned. This is going to be so satisfying. We chose a Saturday. Daniel had a standing golf game with clients every Saturday morning. He'd be gone for at least 4 hours, which gave us plenty of time. Emma had it all planned out. We'd go to Natasha's apartment. We'd ring the doorbell. Emma would hold up her phone, recording everything. And I would ask questions. Let me do the talking, I told Emma as we drove to Willow Creek Residences. No way. I'm coming with you. Emma, Mom, this is my fight too. She's living in an apartment paid for with my college money. She's wearing jewelry bought with my future. I deserve to look her in the eye. How could I argue with that? We pulled up to the building just before 10 a.m. The Porsche Daniel had bought for Natasha was parked in its designated spot. Bright red, gleaming in the sunlight. $45,000 of stolen dreams. Ready? Emma asked, phone already recording. Ready? We walked up to apartment 12C. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Emma knocked on the door. Nothing. She knocked again, harder this time. We heard movement inside. Then a voice, annoyed, "Hold on." The door swung open. Natasha stood there in yoga pants and a crop top, her blonde hair in a messy bun. She looked younger in person, more like 20 than 24. For a moment I felt a flash of pity. Then I remembered the $86,000 she'd helped steal from my daughter, and the pity evaporated. "Can I help you?" Natasha asked, clearly irritated at being disturbed. "Hi, Natasha," I said calmly. "My name is Catherine Reynolds. This is my daughter, Emma. I believe you know my husband, Daniel." The color drained from her face. She tried to close the door, but I'd already stuck my foot in the doorway. "We just want to talk," I continued. "We're not here to cause a scene. We just have some questions about the money my husband has been giving you." "I don't know what you're talking about," Natasha said quickly. "Too quickly. Really?" Emma spoke up, her voice steady. "So you don't know Daniel Reynolds? You don't know about the $67,000 he's spent on you in the past 8 months? You don't know about the Porsche in the parking lot, the red one, license plate 7TBG921, that he bought for you with money from my college fund?" Natasha's eyes went wide. She looked at Emma, then at me, then at the phone in Emma's hand that was clearly recording. "You can't record me without my permission," she said, trying to sound confident. "Actually, we can," Emma replied. We're on public property, the hallway, and you opened the door. But if you'd prefer, we can have this conversation in front of all your neighbors instead. I'm sure they'd love to know that the nice young lady in 12C is actually a professional mistress who targets married men. I'd never been more proud of my daughter. Natasha's face went through several emotions in rapid succession: shock, anger, fear, and finally, resignation. Fine, come in, but only for a minute. We followed her inside. The apartment was exactly what I'd expected. Expensive furniture, designer clothes hanging in the open closet, a ridiculous number of shoes, all paid for by my husband. "What do you want?" Natasha asked, crossing her arms defensively. "I want to know if you knew he was stealing from his daughter," I said quietly. "I want to know if you knew that the money he was spending on you was taken from a 12-year-old girl's future." Natasha's jaw tightened. "He said he was separated. He said the marriage was over." "Did he?" Emma asked. "Is that why he still wears his wedding ring? Is that why he goes home to our house every single night? Is that why he told you 3 weeks ago on the phone that he was planning to leave soon? Because if they were separated, he'd already be gone." Natasha looked genuinely surprised. Good actress? Or had Daniel actually fooled her too? He told me. She started, then trailed off. "He said you didn't care about him anymore. He said the marriage was just on paper." "That's what they all say," I replied. "Richard Morrison told you the same thing 2 years ago, didn't he? And Bradley Chen before that? And David Whitmore before him?" Her face went pale. "You investigated me?" "Of course we did," Emma said matter-of-factly. "You've been doing this for at least 4 years. Targeting wealthy married men, getting them to buy you expensive gifts, then moving on to the next one when the money runs out or the wife finds out. You're a con artist, Natasha, and my dad is just your latest victim." "Except this time," I added, "you went too far. Because this time, you didn't just take money from a guilty husband, you took it from an innocent child. And that's something I can't forgive." Natasha sank onto her couch, suddenly looking very small. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to admit it," I said. "On camera. I want you to admit that Daniel gave you money, bought you gifts, paid for this apartment. I want you to admit that you knew he was married with a child." "Why? So you can sue me?" "No," Emma said. "So we can sue Dad. And so he can't claim this was all some big misunderstanding. You're our proof, Natasha. You're the evidence that destroys his lies." Natasha looked at Emma for a long moment. Then she surprised me. She actually laughed. A bitter, broken sound. "You're 12 years old and you're smarter than me," she said. "Fine. You want a confession? I'll give you one." She looked directly at Emma's camera phone. "My name is Natasha Volkov. I've been seeing Daniel Reynolds for 10 months. He told me he was separated from his wife, but I knew he was lying. I always know. He's paid for this apartment, bought me a car, gave me jewelry and clothes and cash. I knew the money was coming from somewhere it shouldn't. I just didn't care enough to ask." She paused, her eyes filling with tears. "Real ones," I thought. "I'm 24 years old and I've made a lot of mistakes," Natasha continued. "My mom died when I was 16. My dad kicked me out when I was 18. I thought if I could just find a man with money, I'd be okay. I'd be safe. But all I've done is hurt people. And now I've hurt a kid. A 12-year-old kid who didn't do anything wrong except have a selfish father and trust the wrong person." She wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry, Emma. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know sorry doesn't give you back your college money. But I am. I'm sorry." Emma lowered her phone slightly. For a moment, she was just a kid again. A kid who'd had to grow up too fast because of adult problems. "Do you still have the receipts?" Emma asked quietly. "For everything he bought you?" Natasha nodded. "I keep everything. Old habit." "We need them. All of them. And we need you to testify about how much money he gave you, when, and what he told you about where it came from." You want me to help you destroy him? We want you to tell the truth, I said. That's all. The destruction is Daniel's own doing. Natasha thought about it for maybe 10 seconds. Then she stood up and walked to her bedroom. She came back with a shoebox. It's all in here. Every receipt, every gift card, every bank deposit slip. I told you. I keep everything. She handed the box to me. There's also a thumb drive in there with copies of all our messages. Text, email, everything. I looked at her in surprise. Why did you keep all this? She shrugged. Because men like Daniel always promise they'll leave their wives. They never do. And when they finally break up with you, they claim they never gave you anything, that you stole from them. I learned to keep evidence to protect myself. Smart, Emma said grudgingly. Not smart enough to avoid becoming someone's mistress in the first place, Natasha replied. She looked at me directly. I know you hate me. You should. But for what it's worth, I didn't know about Emma's college fund. He told me the money was from bonuses and investments. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. But you knew he was married, I said. Yes. And that makes me a terrible person. I know. She sat back down, looking exhausted. What happens? Now, Emma said. You're going to write a statement. Everything you just told us, but in writing, dated and signed. And you're going to give us access to any other evidence you have. Photos, videos, anything. And if I do all this, then we leave you out of the legal proceedings, I said. We're not interested in destroying you, Natasha. We're interested in holding Daniel accountable for his actions. But there's one more thing, Emma added. The Porsche. It was bought with my college money. I want it back. Natasha actually smiled at that. It's in his name anyway. I just get to drive it. I figured I'd lose it eventually. Take it. I'll Uber. We left that apartment 30 minutes later with a box of evidence and a signed statement from Natasha. In the car, Emma was quiet. You okay? I asked. I feel bad for her, Emma admitted. Is that weird? No, honey, it's not weird. It means you're a better person than both of them. But I'm still mad. You can be both. You can feel sorry for her situation and still be angry about her choices. Emma nodded slowly. Mom, when we destroy Dad, and we are going to destroy him, do you think he'll understand why? Do you think he'll realize what he did wrong? I thought about that. Daniel, my husband of 15 years, the man I'd loved, the man who'd betrayed us. I don't know, sweetheart. Some people never understand. They always find a way to make themselves the victim. Then I hope he does understand, Emma said fiercely. I hope he understands exactly how much he hurt us. I hope it keeps him up at night for the rest of his life. My daughter, my fierce, brilliant, hurt daughter. It will, I promised her. By the time we're done, it will. Monday morning, we struck. Emma and I had spent all day Sunday finalizing our plan. We had everything organized: bank statements, emails, text messages, audio recordings, Natasha's confession, receipts, witness statements from the other wives. Everything meticulously labeled and copied and stored in multiple locations. At 9 a.m., while Daniel was in his first client meeting of the day, I walked into the offices of Whitmore and Associates, the financial firm where Daniel worked. I asked to speak with Richard Whitmore, the founding partner. I'm sorry, Mrs. Reynolds, his secretary said. Mr. Whitmore is quite busy today. Would you like to schedule an appointment? Tell him it's about client fraud, I said calmly. And that if he doesn't see me in the next 5 minutes, I'll be taking this information directly to the state financial regulatory board without giving him a chance to handle it internally first. I got my meeting. Richard Whitmore was 62 years old, silver-haired, and had known Daniel for 15 years. He'd been at our wedding. He was Emma's godfather. And he looked absolutely devastated when I laid out the evidence on his desk. Catherine, I can't believe Daniel would believe it, I said. It's all documented. He's been putting clients into high-risk investments without proper disclosure to boost his commission rates. He's been stealing from his own family. And he's been lying to everyone who trusted him. Richard went through the documents with shaking hands. The color drained from his face as he read transcript after transcript, listened to recording after recording. "How long have you known?" he finally asked. 3 weeks. I wanted to make sure I had everything before I came forward. I wanted to make sure he couldn't talk his way out of it. Catherine, this is going to destroy the firm's reputation. No, I said firmly. Daniel's actions destroyed the firm's reputation. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. You can either handle this proactively, audit his client accounts, make restitution where necessary, cooperate fully with investigators, or you can try to cover it up and watch everything burn when the truth comes out anyway. Your choice. Richard knew I was right. By 10 a.m., Daniel had been called into an emergency meeting with all the partners. His access to client accounts was immediately suspended. By 10:30, he'd been fired. Meanwhile, Emma was at school, but she'd set up automated emails to send at specific times. At exactly 10 a.m., a detailed complaint with full documentation went to the state's Financial Regulatory Board. At 10:15, another went to the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. At 10:30, one went to the Securities and Exchange Commission. And at 11 a.m., while Daniel was being escorted out of his office building with a box of his personal belongings, I filed for divorce. I'd hired the best lawyer in the state. Cost me nearly $5,000 just for the retainer, but she was worth every penny. She'd reviewed all our evidence and told me it was the strongest case she'd seen in 20 years of practice. He won't be able to hide anything, she'd promised. We'll demand a full financial forensic audit. Every account, every transaction, every penny. And with the evidence you have, the judge will grant it. The divorce papers demanded full custody of Emma, return of all marital assets, reimbursement of Emma's college fund, and significant spousal support. But more importantly, they included a request for an emergency hearing based on the evidence of financial misconduct and theft. We got our hearing scheduled for Thursday. 3 days away, Daniel came home at noon. I was waiting. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 3 hours. His face was pale, his hands shaking. He saw me sitting at the kitchen table and froze. "Catherine." "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't say my name like we're still married. Don't say anything at all unless it's an admission of guilt. I don't know what lies they've told you." I slid the divorce papers across the table. "I know everything, Daniel. The affair, the money, the offshore accounts, Natasha, the Porsche, the client fraud, everything." He picked up the papers with trembling hands. As he read, I watched realization dawn on his face. This wasn't a wife who just found out about an affair. This was a tactical nuclear strike. You can't prove. I can prove all of it. I have bank records. I have your emails and text messages. I have recordings of you admitting everything. I have Natasha's confession on video. I have witness statements from the other wives you've defrauded. And as of this morning, 3 federal agencies are investigating you. Daniel collapsed into a chair. "How long have you known?" 3 weeks. 3 weeks? He looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. "You've been planning this for 3 weeks?" "Emma and I have been planning this for 3 weeks, I corrected. Your daughter, the one whose future you stole, she's the one who figured out how to catch you. She's the one who compiled the evidence. She's the one who tracked down your pattern of behavior. She's 12 years old, Daniel, 12, and she outsmarted you. Emma knows." His voice broke. "Catherine, you told our daughter, I told our daughter the truth. That her father is a thief and a liar. That the man she looked up to stole $86,000 from her college fund to buy expensive gifts for his mistress." "Yes, Daniel," I told her. "Because she deserved to know what kind of man you really are. I want to talk to her." "No, you're not going anywhere near Emma until the court decides custody. And I promise you, when the judge sees the evidence of what you've done, you'll be lucky to get supervised visitation." Daniel stood up abruptly, anger replacing fear. "You can't keep my daughter from me." "I'm not keeping her from you. Your actions are keeping her from you. You chose Natasha over your family. You chose money over your daughter's future. These are consequences, Daniel, something you've apparently never had to face before. Where is Emma now? She's at school, where she's safe from you. Safe? I'm her father." "You're a man who stole from his own child," I said coldly. "That doesn't make you a father. That makes you a criminal." Daniel's phone started ringing. He looked at it, silenced it. It rang again immediately. Then again? That would be your clients, I said. The firm sent out an email this morning informing them of your termination and offering them free consultations to review their portfolios. By now, they've all realized what you've done. Some of them have lost thousands of dollars because of your fraudulent investment advice. You destroyed my career. No, Daniel. You destroyed your career the moment you decided to steal from your family and defraud your clients. I just made sure everyone found out about it. His phone kept ringing. Call after call after call. You need to leave, I said. Pack a bag. Get out of my house. Our house. It's in both our names. Not for long. My lawyer is filing a motion for exclusive occupancy. You'll be out by the end of the week. I can't afford a hotel. You just got me fired. Then I suggest you call Natasha. I'm sure she'd love to put you up, although you might want to ask her about the conversation we had on Saturday first. His face went white. You talked to Natasha? Oh, we did more than talk. We had a lovely chat about her career as a professional mistress, about the other married men she's conned, about the receipts she kept for everything you bought her. She was very cooperative, Daniel. Very honest. She even gave us a signed confession. She did. Turns out, she's smarter than you gave her credit for. She knows when to cut her losses and cooperate. Unlike you, she understands that the game is over. Daniel sank back into his chair, his head in his hands. For a moment, I felt a flash of the old sympathy. The old love. Then I remembered 8 months of lies, $86,000 stolen. The college fund emptied. The betrayal, the sympathy died. 3 days, I said. You have 3 days until the hearing. I suggest you get a lawyer, a good one, because Emma and I are coming for everything, Daniel. Every penny you stole, every account you hid, every lie you told. We're going to expose all of it. Why? He asked quietly. Why go this far? We could have worked this out. Marriage counseling, therapy. You stole from our daughter, I interrupted. That's not something you work out in counseling, Daniel. That's not something you forgive. That's something you pay for. I stood up to leave. At the doorway, I turned back. By the way, Natasha wanted me to tell you something. She's keeping the Porsche. Apparently, it's in your name, which means it's a marital asset. My lawyer is claiming it as part of the settlement. Emma's going to sell it and put the money back in her college fund. $45,000 toward the $86,000 you stole. We'll get the rest from your pension, your investments, and whatever assets you thought you'd hidden offshore. I walked out, leaving him sitting at the table, phone ringing incessantly. Career destroyed, marriage ended, lies exposed. It felt good. The hearing on Thursday was supposed to be a formality. Just a quick session to address the emergency motions. My lawyer had told me it would probably be over in an hour. It lasted 6 hours. Daniel showed up with his own attorney, a sleazy-looking man named Marcus Brennan who specialized in defending white-collar criminals. The kind of lawyer who made you need a shower just from being in the same room. But even Marcus Brennan couldn't defend the indefensible. Judge Patricia. Morrison was a 60-year-old woman who'd built her career on family law. She'd seen every kind of divorce, every kind of custody battle, every excuse and lie. And she did not look impressed with Daniel. My lawyer, Sandra Chen, presented our case methodically. She started with the timeline. 8 months of systematic theft. She showed the bank records, withdrawal by withdrawal, demonstrating how Daniel had slowly drained both our savings and Emma's college fund. Then she played the recordings. The courtroom was silent as Daniel's voice filled the room. His laughter as he told Natasha about deceiving a client. His casual admission that he was planning to move money around so I couldn't touch it. His promise to leave me once he'd hidden enough assets. I watched Daniel's face as he heard his own words played back to him. He looked sick, but Sandra wasn't done. She brought up Natasha's video confession, played it for the entire courtroom. Then she presented receipts for every expensive purchase. The Porsche, the jewelry, the apartment rent, the designer clothes. Your Honor, Sandra said, Mr. Reynolds didn't just betray his wife. He systematically stole from his own daughter, $86,000 taken from a college fund that was supposed to be untouchable. Money that grandparents had contributed, money that was meant to secure a child's future. He took it all to impress his mistress. Marcus Brennan tried to object. Your Honor, these recordings were obtained without my client's knowledge. In his own home, Judge Morrison interrupted. By his own wife. In a one-party consent state. The recordings are admissible. Continue, Miss Chen, Sandra smiled. Thank you, Your Honor, but the theft doesn't stop there. We have evidence that Mr. Reynolds has been defrauding his clients as well. He's currently under investigation by 3 federal agencies. Several of his former clients have filed complaints, and his own firm fired him when they discovered the extent of his misconduct. She pulled out another set of documents. We've also discovered that Mr. Reynolds has been hiding assets. He has 3 offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, and Panama. He's moved approximately $230,000 into these accounts over the past year. Marital assets that he attempted to conceal. I hadn't even known about that part. Sandra had hired a forensic accountant who'd uncovered the offshore accounts. $230,000, more than twice what he'd stolen from Emma. Daniel's lawyer tried to claim the offshore accounts were for legitimate tax purposes. Judge Morrison shut him down immediately. Mr. Brennan, your client is on tape admitting he was hiding money from his wife. This isn't tax planning. This is fraud. Your Honor, I'm not finished. What troubles me most about this case isn't just the financial misconduct, although that's certainly serious enough. It's the theft from his own child. Mr. Reynolds had access to multiple sources of funds. He had his salary, his bonuses, his own savings. But he deliberately chose, to steal from his daughter's education fund. That speaks to character, or rather, the lack thereof. Judge Morrison looked directly at Daniel. Mr. Reynolds, do you have anything to say for yourself? Daniel stood up slowly. He looked defeated, broken. Your Honor, I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes, but I love my daughter. I never meant to hurt her. But you did hurt her, the judge interrupted. You stole her future to buy expensive gifts for your mistress. You prioritized your affair over your child's education. Those aren't mistakes, Mr. Reynolds. Those are choices. I can pay it back. You absolutely will pay it back. Every penny with interest. But that's not the question before this court today. The question is whether you deserve shared custody of the child you stole from. Judge Morrison looked at her notes for a long moment. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Here's my ruling, she finally said. Mrs. Reynolds is granted full legal and physical custody of Emma Reynolds, age 12. Mr. Reynolds is granted supervised visitation only, 2 hours per week, pending completion of a psychological evaluation and family counseling. Daniel's face crumbled. Your Honor, please, I'm not done. Mr. Reynolds is ordered to immediately return all funds taken from Emma Reynolds' college fund, plus 15% annual interest, for a total of $98,900. He has 90 days to comply. Sandra squeezed my hand under the table. Furthermore, Mr. Reynolds is ordered to return all marital assets currently held in offshore accounts. Every penny. The forensic accountant will provide a full report, and Mr. Reynolds will have 60 days to repatriate those funds. Your Honor, some of those funds are from premarital. Then you'll have the opportunity to prove that with documentation, Judge Morrison said sharply. But given your demonstrated pattern of deceit, Mr. Reynolds, I'm not inclined to take your word for anything, she continued. Mrs. Reynolds is granted exclusive occupancy of the marital home. Mr. Reynolds has 1 week to remove his personal belongings. Mrs. Reynolds is granted the 2024. Portia currently registered in Mr. Reynolds' name. That was a gift, Daniel blurted out. That was a marital asset purchased with marital funds, the judge corrected. Or more specifically, with funds stolen from your daughter. Mrs. Reynolds may dispose of that vehicle as she sees fit. Emma was going to be thrilled. Finally, Judge Morrison said, I'm ordering Mr. Reynolds to pay Mrs. Reynolds' attorney fees in full. Given the extensive evidence gathering and investigation required due to your attempts to hide assets, those fees are substantial. You brought this on yourself, Mr. Reynolds. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. Outside the courtroom, Sandra hugged me. That was one of the most satisfying wins of my career, she said. Your daughter is incredible, by the way. The way she organized all that evidence? She could be a lawyer someday. Or a detective, I said. Or a prosecutor. Or anything she wants to be, because now she has her college fund back. Emma was waiting at home when I got there. She'd stayed with my sister during the hearing. I didn't want her in that courtroom, didn't want her to hear all the ugly details. But when I walked in the door, she knew immediately. We won, she said. It wasn't a question. We won everything. Emma closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, there were tears streaming down her face. Not sad tears, relief tears. Just as tears. How much do we get back? She asked. All of it. Plus interest. Plus the offshore money he tried to hide. Plus the Porsche, which you get to sell. Really? Really. The judge said you can dispose of it however you want. You earned it, sweetheart. Emma threw her arms around me. We stood there in our entryway, holding each other, crying. Not from pain this time. From victory. Mom? Emma said after a while. Can I tell you something? Anything. I didn't really want to do all this. The investigating, the planning, the evidence gathering. It was exhausting and scary, and I felt sick most of the time. I know, baby. But I'm glad we did it. Because now Dad can't hurt anyone else. Now his clients know. Now that regulatory board knows. Now everyone knows what he really is. And maybe that will stop him from doing this to some other family. My brilliant, compassionate, fierce daughter. You're an amazing person, Emma. You know that? She pulled back and wiped her eyes. I learned from the best. She smiled a little. Well, the best parent. The other one clearly didn't teach me anything useful except how not to be a terrible person. I laughed through my tears. That's fair. So what happens now? Emma asked. Now? Now we rebuild. We put your college money back. We sell the Porsche. We fix what he broke. And we move forward. Without Dad. Without Dad, I confirmed. Is that okay? Emma thought about it for a moment. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably see him during supervised visits if I want to. And maybe eventually I'll forgive him. But right now, I don't want him in my life. Not until he proves he's actually sorry, and not just sorry he got caught. That's very mature of you. Mom, I just spent 3 weeks building a legal case against my own father. Maturity kind of got forced on me. She paused. But you know what? I'm okay. We're okay. We're going to be better than okay. She was right. We were. 3 months later, I was sitting in our kitchen, my kitchen now, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper when Emma walked in with her laptop. Mom, you need to see this. She turned the screen toward me. It was a news article. The headline read, Local Financial Advisor Sentenced to 3 years in Prison for Client Fraud. I scanned the article. Daniel had been convicted of defrauding 12 clients out of a combined $400,000. He'd also been convicted of wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion related to the offshore accounts. 3 years in federal prison. 5 years probation afterward, permanent revocation of his financial licenses, and an order to pay full restitution to all victims, including his own daughter. How do you feel? I asked Emma. She shrugged. Honestly, I feel kind of nothing. Like I'm not happy he's going to prison. But I'm not sad either. He earned this. Every bit of it. That's fair. Is it weird that I don't miss him? Emma asked quietly. Like, he's my dad. Shouldn't I miss him? I set down my coffee and took her hand. Sweetheart, you don't owe him anything. Not your love, not your forgiveness, not your sadness. He broke your trust in the worst possible way. It's okay to feel however you feel. Anger, indifference, relief. It's all valid. Did you read the victim statements? Emma asked. I had. Several of Daniel's former clients had submitted statements to the court. Elderly couples who'd lost their retirement savings. A single mother who'd lost her emergency fund. A disabled veteran who'd lost his disability settlement. Daniel hadn't just hurt us. He'd hurt dozens of people. Yeah, I said. I read them. Good. Because that's who Dad really is. Not the guy who took me to daddy-daughter dances or helped with my math homework. The guy who stole from a disabled veteran to buy his girlfriend a Porsche. My daughter. She saw the world so clearly now. Maybe too clearly for a 13-year-old. How's school going? I asked, deliberately changing the subject. Emma's face brightened. Actually, really good. I joined the debate team and the mock trial club. Turns out I'm really good at building arguments and presenting evidence. I wonder where you learned that, I said dryly. She grinned. Also, I've been thinking about what I want to be when I grow up. Oh, I want to be a forensic accountant, like the one who found Dad's offshore accounts. People who do that, they help catch criminals. They protect victims. They follow the money and expose the truth. That's what I want to do. I felt tears prick my eyes. That's perfect, Emma. That's absolutely perfect. And the best part? My college fund can pay for it now. Every penny of it, plus the interest. Dad's restitution payments go straight into that account. So, in a weird way, he's actually paying for me to become the kind of person who catches people like him. The irony was beautiful. There's something else, Emma said. Mrs. Rodriguez, from Dad's firm? The wife of one of the partners? Yeah, she called me yesterday. She said their firm is creating a scholarship fund for children of financial crime victims. They're calling it the Emma Reynolds Scholarship. They want to help other kids whose parents stole their college money. I couldn't speak. I just stared at her. They want me to be on the selection committee, Emma continued, to help choose the recipients each year. They said, I understand what it's like better than anyone, and that my work gathering evidence showed a level of dedication and intelligence they want to honor. Emma, that's incredible. I know, right? So other kids who go through what I went through, they'll get help. They'll get their education. And it's because we didn't stay quiet, because we fought back. This was why we'd done it. Not just for revenge, not just for justice, but to make sure Daniel's betrayal turned into something positive, something that could help others. I'm so proud of you, I said. Not just for what you did, but for who you're becoming, Emma smiled. I'm proud of us, Mom. We did this together. You could have just divorced Dad quietly. You could have kept everything private. But you didn't. You made sure everyone knew what he did. You made sure there were consequences. That took guts. You're the one who planned the whole thing. Yeah, but you executed it. You're the one who walked into his boss's office. You're the one who filed the reports. You're the one who stood up in court and demanded justice. I just provided the evidence. We made a good team, I said. The best team. Emma paused. Mom, can I ask you something? Do you think you'll ever date again? Like, trust another man enough to let him into your life? I thought about it. Honestly? I don't know. Maybe someday. But right now, I'm okay. More than okay. I have you. I have our house. I have my job and my friends and my life. I don't need a man to complete me. Your father taught me that much. Good, Emma said firmly, because you're amazing all by yourself. And if you do ever date again, he better treat you like the queen you are. Otherwise, he'll have to answer to me, I laughed. My fierce protector, always. We sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Emma spoke again. You know what the weirdest part is? I don't hate Dad. I'm angry at him. I'm disappointed in him. I think he's weak and selfish and made horrible choices. But I don't hate him. Why not? Because hating him would mean I still care what he thinks or does. And I don't. He's just irrelevant now. He's a cautionary tale, a lesson in what not to do. And in 3 years, when he gets out of prison, maybe he'll have learned something. Or maybe he won't. But either way, it won't affect me. Because I'm going to be too busy building my own amazing life to care about his. She was 13 years old and wiser than most adults I knew. When did you get so smart? I asked. When my father stole my college fund and I had to outsmart him to get it back, she replied. Life lessons come in weird packages sometimes. That evening, we did something we'd been planning for weeks. We drove to the dealership where we'd arranged to sell the Porsche. The dealer had already found a buyer, some tech executive who loved red sports cars and didn't care about the vehicle's history. $47,000. That's what we got for it. $2,000 more than Daniel had paid because the dealer took pity on Emma's story. Emma signed the paperwork with a big smile on her face. Then she immediately transferred the money into her college fund. $86,000 down, she said. $47,000 back, plus the $98,900 from the court order. That's $145,900 total. You're better at math than I am, I said. Finance major, remember? I'm already practicing. She pulled out her phone and opened her college fund app. The balance showed $145,913.27. That's more than I started with, she said quietly. More than before Dad stole it all? That's justice, sweetheart. No, Emma said. Justice is Dad in prison. This is victory. We went out for dinner to celebrate. At the restaurant, Emma ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, a $23 pasta dish she'd been eyeing for months, but never felt right ordering. We can afford it now, she said with a grin. College fund is secure. Bills are paid. Life is good. Life is good, I agreed. As we ate, Emma's phone buzzed. She looked at it and her expression changed. What is it? I asked. It's an email from Dad's lawyer. He wants to know if I'll visit Dad in prison. What do you want to do? Emma thought about it for a long time. Then she started typing a response. When she finished, she showed it to me. The email read, Dear Mr. Brennan, thank you for your message. I've decided not to visit my father at this time. Perhaps in the future, if he demonstrates genuine remorse and understanding of what he did, I'll reconsider. But right now, I need to focus on my own healing and my own future, the future he tried to steal. Please let him know that I hope he uses his time in prison to become a better person. Not for me, but for himself. Sincerely, Emma Reynolds. That's perfect, I said. Is it too harsh? No, it's honest. And that's what matters. She sent the email. Then she put her phone away and looked at me. Mom, I know I've been really serious and grown up about all this. But can I tell you something kind of silly? Of course. I'm really looking forward to being a regular 13-year-old again. No more detective work. No more evidence gathering. No more court hearings. Just school and friends and debate team and worrying about normal teenager stuff like homework and who likes who. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. You deserve that, Emma. You deserve to just be a kid. But a kid with a really awesome college fund, she added with a smile. But a kid with a really awesome college fund, I agreed. That night, as I tucked Emma into bed, yes, even at 13, she still let me tuck her in sometimes. She said something I'll never forget. Mom, I know this whole thing was horrible. Dad's betrayal, the investigation, the trial, all of it. But in a weird way, I'm glad it happened. Why? Because it showed me what I'm capable of. It showed me that I'm strong, that I'm smart, that I don't have to accept being treated badly by anyone, even family. And it showed me that you'll always have my back, no matter what. Those are pretty important lessons. They are. And Mom, I know you were hurting this whole time. I know you were probably scared and angry and sad. But you never let me see you fall apart. You stayed strong for me. That's what real parents do. That's what real love looks like. I couldn't help it. I started crying. Don't cry, Mom, Emma said, but she was crying too. Happy tears, remember? We won. We're okay. We're better than okay. I know, I managed. I love you so much, Emma, and I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I'm not, she said firmly, because now I know exactly what I'm made of. And Mom, I'm made of pretty strong stuff. The strongest, I agreed. As I left her room, Emma called out one more time. Mom? Yes, sweetheart. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for fighting for me. Thank you for teaching me that some things are worth fighting for. Always, baby. Always. 6 months after Daniel went to prison, I was invited to speak at a women's support group. They wanted me to tell my story, to talk about betrayal and recovery, to share what I'd learned. I almost said no. I didn't want to be defined by Daniel's betrayal for the rest of my life. But then Emma said something that changed my mind. Mom, how many women do you think are going through exactly what we went through? How many are sitting at home right now, knowing something's wrong, but too scared to investigate? Too scared to confront? Too scared to fight back because they think they can't win? She was right. So I went. There were 23 women in that room, ages ranging from 25 to 68, all of them dealing with some form of betrayal, financial, emotional, or both. And as I told my story, I watched their faces change. I saw recognition, understanding, and something else, hope. After I finished, a woman in her 40s raised her hand. Her name was Patricia. How did you find the courage to do it? She asked. To investigate, to plan, to expose everything? I know my husband is hiding money. I know he's cheating. But I'm terrified. What if I can't prove it? What if I make things worse? I looked at her, at all of them, and I told them the truth. I was terrified too. Every single day. I was scared I'd mess up the investigation. Scared Daniel would find out before I was ready. Scared I'd destroy my daughter's life instead of saving it. But here's what I learned. Doing nothing is scarier than taking action. Because if I'd done nothing, Daniel would have kept stealing. He would have emptied every account we had. And one day, he would have left us with nothing. No money, no security, no future. That was scarier to me than any confrontation. Another woman spoke up. But you had your daughter helping you. I'm alone. I don't have anyone. You're not alone, I said firmly. You have yourself. And that's more powerful than you think. Every piece of evidence I gathered while pretending everything was fine. Every login to check bank accounts, every screenshot of messages, every recorded conversation. I did those things by myself, in secret. While my husband was sleeping next to me thinking I was clueless, I leaned forward. Here's what I want you all to understand. You are not powerless. You are not stupid. You are not crazy for suspecting something's wrong. Your instincts are telling you the truth, and you have more strength than you realize. Patricia wiped her eyes. What if I confront him and he gets violent? Then you don't confront him. You document everything, you secure your evidence, and you leave. You file from a lawyer's office with police on standby if necessary. You protect yourself first, always. I paused. There's no shame in being strategic. There's no shame in planning your exit. That's not cowardice. That's survival. An older woman, the 68-year-old I'd noticed earlier, raised her hand. My husband retired last year. I just found out he's been gambling away our retirement fund. 40 years of savings, almost gone. But we've been married for 45 years. How do I just walk away from that? You're not walking away from 45 years, I said gently. You're walking away from a man who gambled away 40 years of your hard work. There's a difference. The years you spent building your life together were real, but so is the betrayal, and you deserve better than spending your final decades paying for his mistakes. I looked around the room. Here's what I learned from all of this. Love isn't enough. Trust isn't enough. History isn't enough. What matters is respect. And when someone steals from you, lies to you, betrays you, they're showing you that they don't respect you. They're showing you exactly how much you're worth to them. So what do we do? Patricia asked. You get smart. You get strategic. You gather evidence. You protect yourself financially. Open separate accounts they don't know about. Secure important documents. Make copies of everything. You consult lawyers. You understand your rights. And when you're ready, when you have everything lined up, you strike hard and fast. I smiled, thinking of Emma. And if you have kids, you teach them that it's okay to demand better. That it's okay to fight back. That justice matters more than keeping the peace. After the session, several women came up to talk to me privately. They wanted advice, resources, recommendations for lawyers and accountants. I gave them everything I could, but it was the last woman who stayed behind that really got to me. She was young, maybe 26. She introduced herself as Michelle. Mrs. Reynolds, I'm not married. I don't have kids, but I'm dating someone and I think he's stealing from me. Little things. Money from my purse. He uses my credit cards without asking. He borrowed $5,000 6 months ago and hasn't paid it back. Everyone tells me I'm overreacting, that relationships are about sharing, but it doesn't feel right. It's not right, I said firmly. Listen to me, Michelle. If someone steals from you now, while you're dating, it will only get worse if you marry them. This is who he is. Believe him. But he says he loves me. Love doesn't steal. Love doesn't take without asking. Love doesn't make you doubt your own instincts. I put my hand on her shoulder. You're not overreacting. You're recognizing a pattern. And you have the power to walk away before it gets worse. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect. Michelle nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. I needed to hear that. As I drove home that night, I thought about all those women, all those stories of betrayal, all that pain, and I realized something important. Daniel didn't just betray me. He betrayed Emma. He betrayed his clients. He betrayed everyone who trusted him. And that's what betrayal does. It ripples outward, touching everyone in its path. But so does justice. So does courage. So does the decision to fight back. Emma was waiting up for me when I got home. How did it go? It was hard, I admitted, but good, really good. Did you tell them about me? About how I helped? I did. And you know what one woman said? She said she's going to talk to her teenage daughter. Really talk to her. About what healthy relationships look like. About red flags. About standing up for yourself. She said if her daughter ever faces what you faced, she wants her to have the same courage. Emma smiled. That's good. That's really good. You know what else? The support group wants to know if you'd be willing to speak at their next meeting, to talk to the kids of women going through divorces, to share your perspective. Really? Really. But only if you want to. No pressure, Emma thought about it. Yeah, I'll do it, because maybe I can help some other kid who's going through this. Maybe I can show them that they're not alone, that their parents' betrayal doesn't define them. My incredible daughter. But first, Emma said, grinning, can we just have a normal Friday night? Pizza, movie, no drama? That sounds perfect. And it was. We ordered pizza, extra cheese, pepperoni, the works. We watched a comedy that made us laugh until our sides hurt. We didn't talk about Daniel or the trial or any of it. We just existed together, mother and daughter, building our new normal. Later that night, after Emma went to bed, I sat in the living room thinking about everything that had happened. 9 months ago, my entire world had collapsed. I'd discovered my husband was a liar and a thief. I'd watched my daughter lose her innocence as she learned what her father really was. But we'd survived. More than survived, we'd fought back. We'd won. And in the process, I'd learned something crucial about myself. I was stronger than I ever knew. I didn't need Daniel to be okay. I didn't need his income or his name or his presence. I was enough all by myself. More importantly, I'd learned that protecting the people you love sometimes means making hard choices. It means being willing to destroy everything to build something better. It means choosing justice over peace, truth over comfort. Would I have preferred a different story? Of course. I would have preferred a husband who didn't betray me, a father who didn't steal from his daughter, a marriage that ended peacefully instead of in federal court. But that wasn't my story. My story was about betrayal and revenge, and a 12-year-old girl who outsmarted her own father to get justice. And you know what? I was proud of that story, because we didn't just survive Daniel's betrayal. We exposed it. We held him accountable. We made sure he couldn't hurt anyone else. And we taught Emma, and hopefully other kids like her, that you don't have to accept being treated badly, even by people who are supposed to love you. 3 years from now, Daniel will get out of prison. He'll be 50 years old, career destroyed, reputation ruined. He'll have to rebuild his life from nothing. And you know what Emma and I will be doing? Emma will be 16, starting to look at colleges. She'll have her fully funded college account, $145,913.27, and growing with interest. She'll be captain of her debate team. She'll be volunteering with financial literacy programs, helping other kids understand money and how to protect themselves. And me? I'll be running my own consulting business, helping women navigate divorce and financial independence. I'll be speaking at support groups and conferences. I'll be writing a book about our experience. We'll be thriving. Because that's the real revenge, isn't it? Not destroying the person who hurt you, though sometimes that's necessary, but building a life so good, so strong, so undeniably successful that their betrayal becomes nothing more than a footnote in your story. Daniel tried to steal our future. Instead, he gave us the motivation to build an even better one. Emma put it best a few weeks ago. We were driving past Daniel's old office, the building where he used to work before everything fell apart. She looked at it for a moment, then turned to me. You know what's funny, Mom? Dad spent his whole career telling people how to build wealth and security. He managed millions of dollars. He was supposed to be the expert, but he didn't understand the most important thing about money. What's that? It's not about how much you have. It's about what you're willing to do to get it. Dad was willing to steal from his own daughter. That doesn't make him rich. That makes him poor in every way that actually matters, out of the mouths of 13-year-olds. So here's what I want you to take away from my story. If you're reading this, if you're listening, if you're going through something similar, listen to your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. If someone is lying to you, don't convince yourself you're crazy. You're not. And if you discover betrayal, whether it's from a spouse, a parent, a business partner, whoever, know that you have options. You have power. You don't have to accept it quietly. You don't have to pretend everything's fine for the sake of peace. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and the people who depend on you is to fight back. To demand justice. To expose the truth no matter how ugly it is. Will it be hard? Absolutely. Will there be moments when you want to give up? Yes. Will people tell you to be reasonable, to compromise, to think of the children or the family or whatever? They will. But here's the truth. Protecting abusers and thieves doesn't protect anyone. It just enables them to keep abusing and stealing. Emma and I could have stayed quiet. We could have confronted Daniel privately, gone to marriage counseling, tried to work it out. And he would have kept stealing. He would have kept lying. And eventually, he would have left us with nothing. Instead, we gathered evidence. We built an ironclad case. We struck hard and fast. And we made sure he faced consequences for every single thing he did. Was it revenge? Maybe, but it was also justice. And sometimes, those two things are the same. The other day, someone asked me if I regretted how harsh we were. If I thought maybe we'd gone too far, been too vindictive. I thought about Emma's face when she saw her college fund empty. I thought about the elderly clients Daniel defrauded. I thought about the lies and the manipulation and the absolute disregard for everyone who trusted him. And I said, no, we went exactly far enough. We held a criminal accountable for his crimes. That's not vindictive. That's justice. Because at the end of the day, that's what this story is really about. Not revenge, not even betrayal. It's about justice. It's about a mother and daughter who refused to be victims, who refused to stay silent, who looked at a powerful man who thought he could get away with anything and said, "Not this time. Not with us," and we won. So if you're out there, sitting at your kitchen table, looking at a suspicious receipt or a bank statement that doesn't add up, wondering if you're crazy for being suspicious, you're not crazy. You're awake. You're aware. And what you do next is up to you. But remember, you are stronger than you think. You are smarter than they give you credit for. And you deserve better than someone who would steal your future to fund their fantasies. My name is Catherine Reynolds. My 12-year-old daughter's name is Emma. And this is the story of how we fought back, how we won, and how we built something beautiful out of the ruins of betrayal. Your story might be different. Your betrayal might take a different form. But the lesson is the same. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to stay silent. You don't have to let them win. Fight back. Gather evidence. Get smart. Get strategic. And when you're ready, strike, and then you build the life you deserve. The life they tried to steal from you. Because that's the best revenge of all. Betrayal can come from the people we trust most. But silence and inaction only enable abusers and thieves to continue their harm. Sometimes, the most loving thing we can do, for ourselves and for those who depend on us, is to demand justice, no matter how difficult that fight may be. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Protect yourself. And never, ever let anyone convince you that you're crazy for recognizing the truth. Because the truth matters. Justice matters. And you matter. Your future is worth fighting for.